Well, it's a beautiful afternoon here in southern New England. Nice and sunny. The temperatures are in the low 80s, but this week there's talking about a heat wave toward the weekend. Temperatures around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's 37 degrees Celsius. And as warm as that is, that's still not what they're going through in Europe, where the temperatures are up in the 40s and almost 50 degrees Celsius. Drink plenty of fluids, my friends. Stay as cool as you can. This too will pass. So join me with a tasty beverage of your choice close to hand while we take a look at this month's plant updates. And before we get underway, I'm happy to take this opportunity to send out a special thanks to DH4858, to Beata Tofil 5925, who sent me super thanks this past week, and to Marlene A, who sent me or bought me coffees. Your contributions to my channel go a long way in helping to pay the bills and make sure that these videos keep on coming, and every contribution is sincerely and deeply appreciated. So I thank you all very much for your support. And also, before we get started, I've got some things in bloom this week. And the first one up is my Hoya collina IR26. And it's been blooming for the past few days. It's so warm in the plant room that it's a little thirsty, and I'll put some close-ups over here on the side, but it's doing very, very well. It needs some trellising work. This one was kind of slow to get started, but once it found where it likes, it's just been going crazy. So I need to, I've got like vines that are all over the place now. That's even branched. So I've got to do some little work, take this off this trellis, and then rewrap it so it's a little bit more compact. But yeah, that's doing really well. The blossoms are very, very pretty. They're that pale yellow with a little bit of like a dark magenta in the center. My first thought was a popcorny smell, but maybe toffee-ish, popcorny-ish. What? Yeah, candy-ish. Not in like cheap candy, but like a caramel kind of thing. But yeah, it's a pretty enough plant. It's doing really well for me. And yeah, I'm really happy about it. It was just loaded with buds. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's like 15 and 20 peduncles on this. So yeah, that's very, very cool. The other one that's blooming this week is my Hoya chinghungensis. And it's just blooming up a storm. Lots and lots of peduncles. I don't know if I can be able to turn any of these, but I'll put some close-ups on the side here, but they're just, these branches are all just loaded with them. It's such a big plant that I have trouble keeping up with the watering. I need to up pot it. This little, 4 or 5 inch pot just doesn't hold enough moisture for a plant this size, especially one that's as succulent as this can be. So yeah, but that's just one of my favorite Hoyas. It's done really, really well for me. It puts up with a lot. It just puts up with a lot and is somewhat forgiving. So yeah, we're going to get this one back hydrated again and let it carry on. But yeah, this is just very, very cool. I'm just, when you get a branch like these that are just loaded with peduncles at almost, if not every node, every other node, that's very cool. So yeah, this is Hoya chinghungensis. And now we're going to take a look at plants that have been here for 6 months. And most of these are not Hoyas, but hold on, there are more Hoyas coming on. So just bear with me, but this is what I've been playing with lately. And the first one we're going to talk about is Anthurium pallidiflorum. Now, Anthurium pallidiflorum is native to Ecuador. It was first published in 1898 in the Botanische Jahrbucher für Systematik, Pflanzengeschichte und Pflanzengeographie by Heinrich Gustav Adolf Engler. And this one had me worried for a little while. Because after it arrived, you can see there's some stalks here. A couple of the leaves that were on it just died back. But it was still green, so I hung in there with it. And you put out this long, skinny thing right there. And then put out that beautiful leaf. And pallidiflorum is one of those long, strappy, belt-like leaved anthuriums. And that's just, I think that leaf is just really pretty, and I can't wait for more. It's doing okay. It's currently living in a north-northeast facing window here on the porch. It's in pure pumice and self-watering. And it looks healthy. It finally seems to have gotten its footing, found its place, and we just need to keep our fingers crossed for a few more of those kind of gorgeous leaves. But yeah, I should have a picture of what it looked like when it first showed up if I haven't already shown it to you. But yeah, I'm excited about this one, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. It's just neat. It's just, just a different plant, something else. This one came from Ecuador on their website, and this is my Anthurium pallidiflorum. And the next up is an Anthurium veitchii. Now, Anthurium veitchii is native to Colombia. It was first published in 1876 in Gardener's Chronicle by Thomas Moore and Maxwell Tilden Masters. They were the editors of Gardener's Chronicle at that time. And I should have a picture of what it looked like when it first showed up over here on the side. And it may not look much different, but this leaf had a little bit of damage when it arrived. This one was there when it arrived. This one and this one were here. And it was getting ready to put out another one. Maybe you can see down in there. But it was not happy about the transition. But in the last week or two, it started to put out this. And Anthurium veitchii is sometimes known as the king anthurium, and it's known for having those wonderful abs, and the leaves get long. So we've got a nice, beautiful leaf just coming in. That's going to be very pretty. And I'm taking that as a good sign. So with luck, the next leaf will be a little bit larger and we can keep going from there. But it looks good and green. It's growing. So we're happy with that. Again, this one's going in pure pumice and a self-watering pot. And appears to be doing okay. It's living right over here in a north-northeast facing window. And I'm excited about this, especially that new leaf. I think that new leaf is just beautiful. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed that I can keep this one going strong. And yeah, fingers crossed. This one also came from Ecuador on their website, and this is Anthurium veitchii. And the next one I'm just thrilled with. I can't say enough good things about it. And that is my Aspidistra elatior. Now, Aspidistra elatior is native to Japan. It was first published in 1834 in Tijdschrift voor Natuurlijke Geschiedenis en Physiologie by Carl Ludwig von Blume. And I apologize, my Dutch is not particularly good. But this is the There's a whole bunch of different varieties. This is the variegated variety, so I get leaves like that, leaves like that. But it has pushed out 2 leaves so far, this one and this one, just some nice little, and there's one more coming in down here. So I'm very happy with how this is doing. This is in pure pumice and a self-watering pot. And it's pretty, the leaves are a little leathery, so it's kind of sturdy. It doesn't want to be in bright light. It wants, well, literally it lives back down here behind me, so that's not terribly bright. And I think that is just a really nice batch of variegation. So this started off with 5 shoots from rhizomes, and there's now 3, 4, 5, so yeah, 8. So this put out 3 new leaves in the last year or so. Actually, in the last 6 months, because this is the 6-month section. So I consider that to be doing pretty good. Matter of fact, I have another one, an Aspidistra elatior domino, which has spots on it. And I'm thinking of moving it to self-watering, although it's doing pretty well. Maybe I'll just leave it alone. But yeah, very happy with how this is doing. If this kind of just beautiful leafy foliage appeals to you, then keep your eyes out for it. If you can, this came to me as bare root, so it's just the rhizomes with the shoots on them, and that's fine. They ship lighter that way, and they didn't even phase them. So yeah, if that's what you see in the listing or whatever, don't worry about that, because mine did fine for me. But yeah, this one is very cool. Happy with this one. This one came from Gem Unique Creations on Etsy, and this is Aspidistra elatior variegated. Next up is my Microsorum thialandicum. Now, Microsorum thialandicum is native to Thailand, to Chumpon in Thailand. And it was first published in 2001 in Blumea, Zeitschrift für die Systematik an der Geographie der Planten, or a journal of plant taxonomy and plant geography, by Tawik Saadi Bonkert and Hans-Peter Noteboom. And I first saw this on Kaylee Ellen's channel. This one's sometimes known as the blue oil fern. And while I really like ferns, I don't have a lot of luck with them. I should have a picture of what it looked like when it first arrived. And it looked pretty much like this. But it's lasted longer than most other ferns I've tried. So I think it may be, I've got this one in self-watering, and it's in an airy mix of fine bark and some pumice and long fiber sphagnum. So it stays fairly moist. And it is putting out some new growth in there, so I'm really not complaining. Right now I have it living in a north-northwest facing window, and it gets direct late afternoon sun for a little bit. It doesn't get blasted all day, but it gets some toward the end of the day. So I think it's responding okay to that. It's not a rampant grower, but it seems to be doing all right. So I'm just gonna okay, we're good, we're good. It hasn't gotten really blue, but you know, I hear one, Kaylee Ellen says that they want lots of light to turn blue, and a couple other people have said they don't want much light at all to turn blue. Right now I'm sticking with what Kaylee Ellen says, because I always believe everything she says. She's Kaylee Ellen, you know. Hi, if you're listening, call me, okay? Call. But this one's doing okay. It's a fern I haven't yet killed, which is typically a really good thing. So yeah, I'm happy with this one. So far, fingers crossed. This one came from NY City Succulents on Etsy, and this is Microsorum thialandicum. And this is another one I'm very excited about. I have not had the best of luck with philodendrons, but I figured, of course, it was probably me and that I would try something new. So this is one of the ones I tried out, and this is Philodendron gloriosum. Now, Philodendron gloriosum is native to Colombia, and it was first published in 1876 in L'Illustration horticole by Edouard Francois André. And this is a crawling philodendron. So it came with this leaf and this leaf, which got a little damaged in the shipping, but that's very, very pretty. And it had this leaf coming out, and it just finished pushing it out once it arrived. But what I'm excited about is this leaf here. That's going to be larger. This is the most recent leaf up top, and it's going to be larger than that. So I'm very, very happy about that. I should have a picture of what it looked like or film or something over here on the side. Yeah, I just never had a lot of luck with philodendrons, and I'm sure it was just my watering habits or lack thereof and the soil I had them in. And I tried a couple different things and they just didn't work. So it's one of those things where I just put them aside for a while and tried to learn a bit more and see what else was going on. And I noticed that Kaylee Ellen was planting all hers in her chunky pond and self-watering pot. And I thought, well, I can do that with this chunkier pumice. So I think that's just really pretty. And I'll put some close-ups too, but I think that's very, very pretty. It's doing really well so far. It's growing that way. So in the near future, if it keeps up with this, I'm going to have to get a long pot because it will crawl along the surface of the substrate, which is what it likes to do. It's not a climber as far as I know. But, we've got a new leaf coming in there, and I'm pretty pleased about that. So, yeah, this is the most luck I've had with a philodendron ever. So fingers crossed on this one. This one came from NY City Succulents on Etsy also, and this is Philodendron gloriosum. And now on to some Hoyas. And this is a Hoya that has been here for 1 year. And this is my Hoya boycei. Now, Hoya boycei is native to Brunei, to the Bilat district, to Bukit Batu Patam, which is Batu Hill. And it was first collected in 1989 and published in 2022 in Gardens Bulletin by Michaela Rhoda and Sri Rahayu. And I started with a nice little cutting, all well and good, and I didn't think I was going to like this as much as I do. Those little leaves are just amazing. Where did I put? Do I have my handy dandy? I don't have my handy dandy ruler out here. I wonder where that went. It's over there. So the leaves are I'm going to say a 1/2 inch wide and maybe 3/4 of an inch petiole to tip. 1/2 inch is about a little over 2 centimeters. Maybe it's closer to 3 centimeters petiole to tip. It has not bloomed for me yet, but this is all new growth. There's another vine going back here. And when I went to bring this one out to show it, it had found its way into someplace else. So I think I need to give this one a taller trellis because it's definitely going there. I mean, that's easily 30 centimeters or a foot, probably even more than that. It's probably closer to 45 centimeters or 1.5 feet from the base up to the tip of this. I have it growing under I have a 2-light Sansi grow light. One of them is aimed off into some plants that are on my desk, and the other is aimed right down. But it's probably a good 2 feet or 60 centimeters above the top of this. The leaves have that nice dark green color. There's a little bit of texture on them. I just think they're really, really pretty. I didn't know it would be that pretty when I ordered it, but I'm really, really happy with it. That's just a nice, sometimes the little leaf, everybody talks about wanting a big one, but sometimes just something nice that just fits right in will work for you. And I'm liking this one more than I thought I would. So yeah, we're going to get a little bit better of a trellis situation going for this one and get it all settled. But this has been no difficulties, no trauma, no drama. I've got it growing in my pond mixture in self-watering pot. There's a few roots coming out the bottom. He just ran out of moisture, so we'll take care of that in just a second or two. But yeah, it's been fine. I think you could let this trail, but trailing is in my setup in my Hoya room. I got no space for that. So up is the only way they can go. And up is the way they would probably grow naturally anyway. But you do you, whichever one works for you. This delightful little plant came from the North Austin Plant Company, and you can find them on Palm Street. And this is Hoya boycei. One up, also here for a year, is my Hoya cumingiana intervariegated. Now, Hoya cumingiana is native to Brunei, to Java and Kalimantan in Indonesia, and to Sabah and Sarawak in Malaysia, and to the Philippines. And it was first collected in 1841 by Hugh Cumming. It was first published in 1844 in Prodromus Systematis Naturalis Regni Vegetabilis by Joseph Decane. And the notes on the herbarium sheet say Ins Philip, so the Philippine Islands. That's probably where Westerners who were cataloging stuff like this found it. Hugh Cummings, the person it was named after, he was born in England and made his fortune in Chile. And when he became successful and had money to burn, he had a ship specifically built for collecting specimens and bringing them back to the UK. So he collected thousands and thousands of specimens, and he was the first person to successfully bring live orchids, back to England. So yeah, I guess you can get a plant named after you when you do that. This one has been doing okay for me. I have another cumingiana that's not variegated. And he and I have this kind of love-hate relationship. I would really like to love him, and he loves to hate me. So when I got this one, I thought I'm going to do this differently. The other one, it's sometimes referred to as the bush Hoya, so it likes to spread much like my chinghungensis does. It likes that kind of an arrangement. And the first one I started in a pot, and I was really pleased with the first time. It was sending out big branches. And then it just wanted way too much room. So it's still alive. I've cut it way back, and I'm hoping to do better by it. But this one I decided from the start that I was going to put in a hanging pot because I had space for one more hanging pot. And so that's what this one is. It's, he's got moisture. So he's in my standard pumice, or standard pond mix, which is lava rock and pumice and zeolite. A self-watering pot. And he's currently living over here, which is a what is that? That's west-southwest window. But there's lots of trees out here, so he gets a little bit of shade in the early afternoon, or a little bit of sun in the early afternoon, but the rest of it is pretty much in shade. And he looks pretty much like he does when he first arrived. I should have a picture that I've shown you. But I think it took it a while to get settled because suddenly there's new growth here and there's new growth on the tip here. So I think maybe we found a spot he likes and a situation he likes. And I'm excited about this one. I'm going to see if I can get this branch to go like over here. We'll see. See if he wants to cooperate with me or do, Hoya going to do what Hoya going to do. But this one's been fun. It's very, very pretty. I think when it finally gets settled and puts out a big mass of growth, it's going to be very cool. And yeah, this has been no trauma, no drama, no trouble. This is Hoya cumingiana intervariegated, and this one came from Hoya Treasures on their website. And the next one who's been here for a year is my Hoya oligantha. Now, oligantha is native to the island of New Guinea. It was first published in 1913 in the Botanische Jahrbucher für Systematik, Pflanzengeschichte und Pflanzengeographie by Friedrich Richard Rudolf Schlechter. And I love the growth pattern of the leaves on this one. They're very cool. And let me reach over and get my handy dandy ruler. There we go. The leaves on this one are running approximately 1 3/4 inches or 4.5 centimeters from petiole to tip. And width-wise, we're looking at just about 1/2 inch, which is like 1.5 centimeters thereabouts. It has put out, this vine, I had to extricate this vine. It's clear out to, that's a good bit of growth in a year. These vines are also new. It's done really well. I just like the leaf pattern. It has not bloomed for me yet, but that's okay. I'm letting it trail. That seemed to be what it wants, although, that could look really pretty climbing. Might have to have that debate because this was like wrapped around everything around it. So maybe going up would be a better solution for him. It's growing in my standard pond mixture, and it's in a self-watering pot, and there's moisture in the bottom. Yay. And it's doing all right. And the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking about that trellis for this. I could make a really nice kind of bushy full plant along the lines of my Acicularis and Stenophylla. I don't know, I'm thinking about it. That could look very pretty. And I think if these vines had some support, they would get a little bit more enthusiastic. But again, this has been no difficulty. It's just growing right along, doing its little oligantha thing. So I'm happy about that. No trauma, no drama, no pest issues, no nothing. It's just doing fine. This one also came from the North Austin Plant Company, and you can find them on Palm Street. And this is Hoya oligantha. And another one who's been here for a year is my Hoya pauciflora. Now, pauciflora is native to southwest India and Sri Lanka, and that should be the states of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, and the island of Sri Lanka. It was first published in 1848 in Icones Plantarum Indei Orientalis by Robert White. And this one's done okay. I should have a picture of what it looked like when it arrived. But it took it a while to get kind of settled in. So I think just this little bit of it here is new growth, and probably a bit of this vine. The leaves are running from petiole to tip, right about 2 3/4 inches or 7 centimeters. And side to side, they're running about 1/2 an inch or just about a centimeter. It seems to be a bit of a slow grower, but I think those leaves are really, really pretty. And it's not giving me any problems. The leaves are really nice color. I have it growing under a grow light, maybe 1.5 feet, so about 45 centimeters below a grow strip. And even for that proximity to the grow light, the leaves don't look particularly washed out or anything. So I think it can probably be happy there for a little bit longer, but very cool. Has not bloomed for me yet, but it's putting out new growth right now. So yeah, it probably appreciates the warmer temperatures right now, considering where it's from. And it's not been difficult. There's a slightly recessed central vein. There's some texture to the sides of the leaves, and you'll see that in close-ups. But I just think it's pretty. So we're happy with this one. This one came from Hoya Treasures on their website, and this is Hoya pauciflora. Last one that's been here for a year is my Hoya serpens. Now, serpens is native to India, to the Andaman Islands and the East Himalayas, and to Nepal, and it's been introduced into Queensland, Australia. It was first published in 1883 in the Flora of British India by Joseph Dalton Hooker. And I put off buying this for a really long time because I'd heard it was exceptionally difficult. And so I got species affinity serpens, and that does fine for me. And after a while, I thought, I'm just going to try one of these, because how will I know how it grows if I don't get one? And I should have a picture over here of what it looked like when it arrived. But I'm thinking that pretty much most of this is new growth in the last year. Now, honestly, it would have been doing better if I had been doing better and keeping it moist. But as you can see, this little vine here had dried out, and that's a bummer, but what can you do? Sometimes you just don't get to that in time. The leaves are very, very pretty. Let's get the handy dandy ruler. And I'm going to say 3/4 of an inch or 1 1/4 centimeters side to side, and about the same petiole to tip. Yeah, about the same petiole to tip. They're essentially round. They have a slightly raised central rib and some slightly raised side ribs. They are fuzzy, and you'll see that in close-ups. And it's not been a difficult plant. It arrived with a peduncle right here, and it still has that peduncle. It has not bloomed, but we're doing what we can do. And it's much happier than the little girl living next door. So we're going to carry on with this. If you've been afraid of serpens or putting it off, then don't. It's been no trouble for me. If I gave it, I think, more humidity and was better about making sure it got watered, I think it would do better for me. But yeah, what can you do? It's not any of the horror stories I heard about serpens. So I'm growing it in my standard pond mixture in a self-watering pot. I don't see any roots yet, but we'll keep our fingers crossed and see how that goes. This one also came from Hoya Treasures on their website, and this is Hoya serpens. Time for questions from the comments. And we've got several of them today. So first one comes from Diane Carruthers 966. She says, I have a question. Does separating your plants into different rooms help keep the pest problem under control, or do you have to treat all plants in the house? Thanks. And that's a really good question. And I do actually have some of the plants that are in one of the rooms are there because they have, at present, some mealybug issues. And that works fairly well to keep that from spreading. But what you have to realize is that if you've been working with the plants that you have the infestation, the mealybug infestation, you need to wash off your hands and your arms. And if your clothing has brushed up against those plants while you've been working with them, then you should probably change, your shirt or whatever you have on, because you can transport them into another part of the house where other plants are, and we don't want to do that. So yes, it does. If a lot of people quarantine new plants when they get them, so to keep anything that those new plants may have from spreading to their collection, the same thing with existing plants and an infestation there. So yeah, if you find something looks a little bit heavy-handed with some kind of infestation, it doesn't hurt to separate it into hand. It can help you treat it effectively and not have to treat everything. If you discover one of the plants in your collection is infested, what I do is I move it to an isolation area, clean it all down, and then I start looking at what was around it. Sometimes I've found like mealybugs on one plant and the plant next to it has none. I haven't figured all that out yet, the why of that, but I do check the immediate vicinity to see if that infestation has spread. And if it has spread, then I start radiating out from that location. So yeah, it can help. From Who We asks, now that it's spring and we have more natural light, do you lessen your grow light run times, i.e. from 12 hours to 8, or use different run times? And because of where my Hoya room is, and that it only has two small windows. One of them faces north-northeast. The other faces south-southeast or east-southeast. The one window gets no direct sun. It just gets some light. The other window gets some direct sun, but it really has very little effect on, if the plants are right in the window, it doesn't affect the rest of them too much. So I just let I keep the grow lights on their regular schedule. Some of them are pulled back like 4 and 5, 6 feet from the windows. So it may be slightly brighter in the room, but not appreciably so. So I just let the grow lights run in their normal cycle. I do on occasion, like in the height of summer, maybe toward the end of July or beginning of August, I might go from 12 to 10 hours, but I don't cut it back that much. If your plants are right in the windows and you're supplementing with a grow light, then yeah, you might want to shorten the run time, or if you can schedule it so it does like a little bit in the morning and then shuts off during the bright part and then comes on a little bit in the afternoon. You might want to try that as well. But yeah, I don't, in the plant room, I don't change it at all. And every place else, they get what they get. You know, if out here on the porch and stuff, they get what they get. More power to them. Shirley Covey 7309 asks, did you change from pond to pumice because it's cheaper or because the plants do better in it? And I haven't actually changed to pumice. I'm experimenting with it. Most of my Hoyas are still in my basic pond mixture. I received some plants that I had ordered from Hoya vendors, and they came in pumice. And I kind of had a moment of, well, I wonder what they know that I don't know. So let's try a couple. So I have just a few Hoyas in pure pumice. Most of them are still in pond. Other plants, I've been trying in larger pumice because I saw Kaylee Ellen growing a lot of her aroids in self-watering pots with a really chunky pond mixture, her own brand of pond mixture. And I thought, well, I can do that with pumice. So actually, I'm going to put a picture over here on the other side of what the different sizes of the granules are between my basic pond and my small pumice and my large pumice. So it's not about the cost or anything else. The larger chunks give it a much airier mixture, and a fine-rooted Hoya may not want that much air. So I kind of judge it that way. But yeah, I haven't completely switched to pumice, but I am liking it, especially for my aroids. So we're gonna continue with that experiment. But yeah, thanks for that question. I'm gonna mess up this name, but the question's from Kosen Zajim. And they ask, what are the differences between using pon or pumice and your cocoa husk fine bark pumice long fiber sphagnum mix when growing Hoya in a self-watering pot with a wick? And so my first part of my answer is going to be that I make the choice whether it's going to be inorganic or organic more or less based upon what the plant comes in. So if the plant comes to me and if it's in fluval or long fiber sphagnum or pumice or pon or an unrooted, then I usually go for an inorganic mix and use my generic pon or fine pumice. If it comes in an organic mix and those roots are fine and worked into that mix, then I tend to just kind of loosen it up a little bit. That's my loosening up gesture. And plant it in the organic mix. Because starting to pull out all that organic mixture from around really fine roots, you can end up doing just too much damage. So I look at the root structure first to determine which way I'm going to go with that plant. Now the difference is, what I find is that the organic mix dries out much faster than pon or pumice. Both in self-watering, the organic mix dries out much faster. I don't have any cabinets or grow tents or special enclosures to keep a higher humidity level. So while the wick will pull moisture up from the reservoir, that organic mix itself will pull a lot of moisture out of the wick. And because it's chunky and airy, it evaporates much more quickly. So I do have to keep a tighter eye on the plants that are in an organic mixture than I do for my pumice or my pon mixture. That's the primary difference I've noticed. I think if you had your organic mixture in an enclosure, a cabinet or a mini greenhouse setup, or in a room with a much higher humidity than I maintain in the plant room, then that probably wouldn't be as much of an issue. But that's the thing I run into with those two mixtures. I prefer the pon and or pumice because it doesn't dry out as quickly. So yeah, that's the answer to that one. That's just, but you do you. You work with what works best in your situation. And yeah, that's what I recommend to everyone. Thanks for the questions. And now the question for the comments. And this one's based upon kind of the last questions from the comments. What are you experimenting with now? Not so much plants, but a pot, a substrate, a grow setup, lighting. What are you trying that's different? I'm always trying new things with some of the plants in terms of lighting or watering or fertilizer or something like that. Lately, it's been substrates because they're interesting and I'm getting some really cool results. So what are you all experimenting with? Leave a note in the comments and let me know. We can have that discussion. And as always, I want to thank you for choosing to spend a little bit of your time with me this week's end. Please remember that thumbs up like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell, and if you're on a mobile device, when you're finished commenting and watching, be sure to click that hype button. All of those things affect the YouTube algorithm, so YouTube recommends my channel to people who haven't seen it yet, and it's your way of helping to get the channel to grow. A lot of the products that you've seen me use are available through my Amazon storefront. There's a link in the description, or you can scan this QR code with the camera app on your phone and visit my storefront. I receive a small commission on the sales. It doesn't increase your price whatsoever. And again, it's another great way of helping to support the channel. If you're in the market for grow lights, there's a link in the description to the Sansi Corporation website, or you can scan this QR code with the camera app on your phone and visit the site. If you use my discount code right here, you'll receive a 30% discount from the prices you find on their site. I receive a small commission on the sales, but purchasing through the site is another great way of helping to support the channel. If you'd like to support the channel directly, there's a link below to my Buy Me a Coffee page, or you can scan this QR code and visit the page directly. If you'd like to work through YouTube, you can click on this link and send me a super thanks. And all those kinds of contributions to this channel are greatly appreciated. I'm going to post links to a couple more videos over here on the side. And please enjoy the rest of your week's end.